What's up, everyone, and welcome to Jayconomics. My name is Jay, and it's a pleasure to meet all of you. On this channel, we take a look at anything related to finance with a strong focus on investing. So if that sounds like something you want to be a part of, then please consider subscribing and liking this video to help me on my quest to befriend the big, bad YouTube algorithm. Hello and welcome back to Jayconomics. Today I have a special guest with me, one that you have requested to have on the show. His name is Rich Wheeless. He is the CEO of ParcelPal Technologies. The ticker symbol on this one is PKG on the CSE and ticker symbol PTNYF on the OTC. I made a video last week about them. Since then, the stock price has pretty much doubled, and nothing has changed with the business. The business is still very strong, and I'm very excited to have connected with Rich here. Rich, welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. Thank you for the support and getting the story out. That's something I should have done, and this is long overdue, so it's a pleasure to get to speak to you and the rest of the audience out there, whoever's out there listening.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time, and I think this is going to bring a lot of value to your shareholders and to potential new shareholders as well.
Absolutely.
So, Rich, let's start off simple about your story. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got here, and what is your vision for ParcelPal moving forward?
Sure. I have a bit of a funny vision, I guess funny story, because I've been all around the world. I've lived in numerous countries and have done business, pretty much across the globe. The last company, so by way of trade, I have a private equity background in undergrad and grad degree, both in finance as well. I started out on the private equity side at Citigroup. Then from there, spent some time in corporate America, Cardinal Health, Johnson & Johnson. Did a couple of startups that were both acquired by publicly traded companies. And prior to this, spent the last couple of years working for a publicly traded company that's now the OTCQB as well, that did very well. Raised a bunch of money from the company as well, changed the vision around, which moved the company actually coincidentally into the blockchain space, but that's a story for another day. And then from there, once I was moving on to kind of my next thing, I ran into someone who was working with the company and said, hey, this would be great if you can come in and help turn this around and help us out. I said, sure. I love doing that. I spent, one of the things I left out, I also worked for the former governor of Ohio, John Kasich. So I was doing some work with him as well, doing turnarounds for state of Ohio funded companies, which was really where I cut my teeth, going and helping troubled companies and that as well. And I like to find a problem and, fix it. And I've always been that way probably since I was a little kid. So this is
Very
one
cool.
of the ones I'm most proud of, I think, in terms of, because you guys have seen the financials, you see, you know what I was up against. A lot of people know the story, so which we'll get into as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So perhaps we can call you Dr. Wheeless, because you just perform surgeries on struggling companies. Is that what we should call you?
That's right. Every day before I walk into the office, I think to myself, it's a great day to save lives before I open that office door. So that's what I'm here to do.
I like it. I like that motto. That's awesome, Rich. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So now moving forward, you did mention when we first got on, it's something that you should have done a long time ago, doing these kinds of things.
Sure.
You've been pretty distant. So why was it that maybe you kind of avoided this or didn't choose to not do it? And why is it that you're choosing to now come on to Jayconomics and tell the story of ParcelPal?
It's twofold. I think the first reason why I didn't do it was because at the time, I'm one of those, I've always flown under the radar. I'm a corporate guy by trade, and I've been one of those, and I think I get this probably from my parents, is one of those things that, be about it, don't talk about it, because many people, anyone can sit there and put together ideas and say, I'm going to do this and do that, but, there was a whole lot to do in terms of when I came into the company, there was $89 in the bank account. I mean, that's how dire things were. People don't know the story. There was really no vision for the company. Things were lost. It was very messy. So I didn't have the time to go out there and tell the story. I mean, there's nothing that I would be proud of to have, to really tell at the time as well. Yeah. So the thing was, go and let's get head down. Let's figure out what we're going to do. Let's figure it out. Let's execute on this. And I had to go do things, raise money, bring in the right people, shift the business, do all of those things just to, get to a point I can feel safe that the company was going to make it into next week. as well. So that was what I did. And, now I've gotten to the point now where, I'm proud to say the company had, its first 3 months of profitability, I think October, November, December, that mentioned out there in the press. And last month we did over 500,000 in revenue and had a tiny profit in January as well. And we're continuing to do well. So I think now is the time to go out and tell the story, because I've had a lot of people asking, and that's never been in my personality to go off and brag what we're doing, because there's still a lot of work to be done, and we're going to get it done. We're expanding and we're doing a lot of the right things as well. And I like for people to say, wow, I was surprised I didn't know about this as well. But I also want people to get into the stock, because it's a great buy as well that's out there, in my opinion. I want people to invest in what I've done, because I've done this before. My last company I did very well. I took the stock from 6 cents to 82 cents in six months, put together a new strategy, raised $33 million. And my biggest regret is I didn't get out there and tell the story to people. So I think there's a lot of people who, came to me and said, crap, I missed out on this. Why didn't you tell me to invest in you again? Because, I invested in you prior. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, hey, now we were at what, like 13 and a half cents
yeah.
last week? Yeah,
That's
13
right.
cents last week. Now we're up to what, like 26 cents, 27 cents?
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe we can go to $1.30. Let's go 10x this year.
Absolutely. And the thing is, there's not a lot of small cap companies that are out there that, are profitable, that have very little debt, have cash in there, have a, pretty much a corporate CEO who, I could go in and run a NASDAQ company with my, with my background as well. Because if you look at a lot of the CEOs that are out there for CSE companies, they don't have the pedigree and the background that I have. So you're getting someone who comes from that big background running a company like this. I think that's part of it. It's no different than if you think of what happened early on at with Google when Sergey Brin and Larry Page started the company. They brought in Eric Schmidt to kind of provide that adult supervision to really catapult the company. I'm the Eric Schmidt to the company is kind of how I would make the comparison to that as well.
All right, I love the brash confidence. It's awesome. Cool, thank you, Rich. So
absolutely,
let's move into what ParcelPal does in terms of how are you guys going to set yourselves apart, and what is going to be your competitive moat? Because in this stay-at-home, on-demand delivery, that trend is going to keep exploding over the next 5 to 10 years, right? So how are you going to, again, make it difficult for others to replicate what you're doing?
Yeah. Part of it is, it's word of mouth going out there. I'm not trying to say what we have out there is anything that there's all these massive barriers to entry, but one of the things we pride ourselves on is our customer service. The area that we also do well in is the ability to be flexible, to be able to move with companies and grow with them. So, we're flexible on pricing and that as well. And operationally, we've done a damn good job in terms of our delivery success rate, and there's no really minimal errors, next to nothing. For a company this size, it's great as well, and it's only going to get better as we expand. So I think that's what's going to really set us apart from a lot of the companies that are out there. Because anybody can try to say, hey, I want to do a delivery company, but going and understanding really how do you best maximize routes and become efficient so you're not losing your butt every time you're out there on the road as well. I mean, you're still running a business. Absolutely. But I learned a lot in terms of it's not as easy as you think. Some of the big companies out there that get into this many times lose a lot of money in the last mile space because they don't understand what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Very true.
Yeah.
So you used to be a B2B and B2C company.
Mm-hmm.
You've chosen to kind of veer away from the B2C and focus on the B2B. Can you explain why you chose to go this route?
Yeah.
And is there any chance of the app coming back and you guys going back to B2C eventually?
Everybody loves the app. I guess everybody wants alcohol delivered on demand and all that. My main reason for moving away from the B2C side is that I wanted to focus on what we did well. It's kind of the whole crawl, walk, run thing out there. And I said, what do we do best? Last mile delivery. We do, most of our business through Amazon. Now that's getting smaller as we're starting to expand into other areas, and said, let's focus on doing this right. The margins are great. On the B2C side, it was very costly. In order to do the B2C side correctly, you have to have couriers that are spread out in order to be able to deliver stuff, anything you want, on demand within an hour. And If you're not doing the business for that, you're going to lose your shirt in that side. One of the other things is I didn't want to go up against, the DoorDashes, Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes, you name it, because you have 4 groups that essentially comprise over half of the market. They're making very little money in that side, and they've also these are companies that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars just to go out and get their name out there. I wasn't willing to go out there and go to a VC or whatever that had to do, or go, back to the markets to do a private placement to say, well, I'm going to raise $10 million because I want to try to get, 1% of the market. It's a very weak argument if you go and say, I'm going to raise X amount of dollars, and if at this, it's $1 billion market, if I get only 0.5% of the market, then I will get X dollars. And it's a terrible thing. And I said, let's not do this. Let's focus on what we're doing. That was part of the reason, which has led to the profitability, which has led to the increase in efficiencies in the company as well. I know it wasn't everyone's favorite thing because the app is sexy. Yes, I've come from a world where I've built apps before and sold them and have done very well. But, I'm here to run a business. This is not a novelty type thing as well. So I wanted to focus on what we did. The second part of your question, to address that, will the app ever come back? I have a couple ideas of what I think we could do to it, which I can get into at a later date. But I think there is a great use case, something I could target towards, the upper 1 or 2% of people. I think of a service that they could use the app for, but that's going to require us to have a deeper penetration within the markets that we serve, and also expand into those other markets, which we're focused on doing right now.
All right, that leads us into my next question, which is expansion.
Yeah.
Perfect segue there.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sure.
So I mean, you're in some major cities in Canada. You're not in all of them yet.
Correct.
And you're only in very small part of the U.S. So can we talk a little bit about kind of like a timeline? How much time are we looking at here in terms of, let's say other big cities in Canada, like Montreal, for example, or Ottawa, and also in the States? What does that expansion look like, and how far will you take it?
Yeah, I mean, we're still continuing to push across the U.S., or I'm sorry, not the U.S., but we're continuing to push across Canada as we speak. I mean, we're in Ontario now. We've been in Alberta, we've been in BC, and we've been pushing. We're dominant, I'd say, in Western Canada. That's kind of where our specialty is. We're pushing to go further east, to go into Quebec as well. That goal is to do that. And then the expansion, I still, obviously, as being a U.S. person myself, realizing that the U.S. is the biggest and best market in the world, the goal is to get into the U.S. But what I wanted to do was, from an operational standpoint, and one of the questions people are saying, well, how come you're not dominating the U.S. already? We had to get the operational pieces down. You want to do the smaller pieces first. Kind of goes back to what I said a few minutes ago, the crawl, walk, run thing. Get that, and then we'll push into the U.S. But, we are going to push to the U.S., I believe, this year, and I've alluded to it before in press releases as well, that's where our focus is going to be. I'd like us also to be in Europe. There's a few markets I think where we would do fairly well that I've looked into as well. But I think there's a lot of room for expansion, and it's less about the areas as much. I think it's more about there's certain industries I think where you can do very well in, and I focus down really on 4 to 5 areas with, prescription drug deliveries being one, meal kit deliveries, retail, grocery. That's really where hardware stores. That's another one. But there's the ones I've tried to focus on and say, where could we make money? Where could we scale fast? And that's really the main thing as well.
That's it. And I mean, I'm glad you touched on that, because I mean, telehealth is just at the beginning, and so prescription drug delivery and all these kinds of things. Like, you guys will really benefit from that. And like, that's one of the things that attracted me as an investor is seeing kind of these industries grow. And this, so it's a great market to be targeting. And obviously you have the cannabis as well, and a few different other things as well. So that's so cool.
And that's where I have been focused on. I mean, I spent 5 years in healthcare as well. So to me, healthcare, I think, is going to be our biggest area for growth. If I had to, if that's where I'm personally, that's my personal focus. And I think in every press release, I think or some of them I've alluded to, that's my personal one that I think we're going to do the best. And I think that's where we really cut our teeth.
Do you have any plans to perhaps partner with some of these newer telehealth companies that are obviously flying high and have been kind of on a roll this year, like Well Health and CloudMD and a few others. Have you kind of been in talks with them yet?
I'm open to having. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to talk to anyone and everyone who's willing to sit down if there's something there. But I have been focusing in terms of some of the calls I've made and some of the people that have reached out. I like the healthcare side. I like meal kit deliveries as well, retail groceries. I kind of mentioned before, but I do think that and that's a different conversation for another day. But the paradigm shift of where healthcare has went, obviously with COVID, it has really accelerated and shifted consumers' behaviors as well. So this isn't something that's going to be a one-off for 2 years. It's going to go back to where it is. This is a permanent change. This is where it's going
100%.
as well. One of the things time is the most valuable asset that all of us have as well. So
absolutely. That's kind of what I've been preaching on the channel for a while now in terms of telehealth and in terms of all these industries. So, okay. So you guys have been on a tear for the last little while. It's, you've had 3 months of profitability at the end of 2020. You had your 20% of revenue that was higher in this past January than last January.
Sure.
So what are the financial goals for 2021 for ParcelPal?
Yeah. As I've alluded, I mean, when I came into the company, this was going to be a minimum of 12 months. I thought probably 18-month turnaround. My goal when I came in is, as you guys know, the company lost about 4.7 million in 2019. 2020, obviously, we performed much better. The financials will be coming out here over the next, what are we in, mid-February here. I'd say probably by the 1st of April is kind of when I think we'll have everything out. As you guys have seen, things have been trending in the right direction. My goal for 2020, we're in 2021 now. I keep forgetting because they all run together. I would love to see us break even to turn a profit. That was been my goal since day one. I think I've alluded to that as well. And that was what I said. Let's focus on what we do best. Let's punt the other stuff. And it's more important for me to see that this company can be sustainable on its own without having to keep going off to raise large sums of money as well. Not to say that, just because you can do it doesn't always mean you can as well. I've raised the right amount of money to be able to get this company to where it needs to be without having to get too much dilution. That was really important to me as well, which also, I think has helped with the stock run. And I think people are now starting to realize that the stock is, it's a great business. It's a sustainable business. Ringing my own bell here, saying a great CEO in place, a great team in place throughout the company as well, and people are just now getting hip to it. So the pieces now, to go off and find a stock. There's not many stocks you can find for a quarter that are out there that that have these pieces. If you can find a better one, you tell me.
Nice. Again, I'm loving the confidence. It's awesome. It's good to see that you have that leadership in place. So speaking about the stock, obviously we spoke on Monday and we spoke on the phone a little bit, and we were discussing how grossly undervalued and kind of like just thrown to the side ParcelPal stock has been. Really. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because of the prior the prior leadership that was in place? Do you think people kind of have like a sour taste in their mouths? Like, what do you think is holding the stock back?
I think it's a combination of things. I think because there was a little bit of that. I'm not going to, and I don't want to poo-poo management or whatever before. I mean, I want to focus on more what we're doing now, but I'll give you the short answer. The short answer is the prior run of the company really wasn't based on fundamentals. It was a lot of going off, telling the story, putting out press releases of things that did not happen. That's why I'm very tactical with the press releases. I may not put out enough and people may complain about that, but the key is I want you to look and pay attention to the ones I put out because they are out there and there's always a pattern to what I'm trying to say in there as well. So a lot of it was due to lack of a focus. The company tended to kind of, as I call it, chasing balloons. There was multiple things that I was trying to do. B2B, B2C. Are we an app company? Are we this? And I said, no, guys, we are a courier company that has a tech behind it. We're not a technology company. So I want to make that completely clear to the audience and everybody else who's out there as well. So I would say it's been a sour taste in the mouth because people saw the stock have a run up, but that was not a fundamental based one. And that's one of the things I'm touting, that this is fundamental based. I haven't went out, there's no paid promotion, there's none of this smoke and mirrors of putting things out that we're not executing. This is based on hard work, perseverance, working weekends, giving up holidays and doing stuff. This is corporate stuff that I know. And you have a leader in place as in me that knows what they're doing, because I've done this before. I've sold a couple companies. I scaled my last public company and did very well. And one of the things, don't forget, I'm doing this a lot of times traveling. I'm not in Vancouver all the time. I'm doing a lot of traveling. I've been to Vancouver, 6 times, since I've been in the company for the past year. But, I've been able to do this in a COVID year, though, as well, turn around a company. No different than, than the Buccaneers winning a couple nights ago, and in a year where there's COVID out there and Tom Brady's going to a new team, I almost compare what I'm doing to kind of what Tom Brady did as well too. So
are you calling yourself the GOAT?
Well, put it this way, I'll let you guys be the judge of that. If you tell me what price you want the stock to be to then call me the GOAT. So, my goal is to get to.
I think most people would be very happy with a 10x and a 130 stock price for everybody. I think that'd be a solid end to 2021. I think a lot of people would call you the GOAT then. Yeah,
and my thing is I'm continuing to focus on like I said, expanding in new markets, making sure that we watch our spending, we spend in the right areas as well. We're bringing on the right people. The stock price will take care of itself. I've never been one that's been obsessed with it. It's going to do what it wants to do. People are going to say the company's doing this and that, but ultimately, I don't pay too much attention to that. Really, end of the day, people are investing in me, and sometimes sometimes you invest in the jockey, not always a horse. But this is one where you have a great horse with a phenomenal jockey on it as well. Now, it was a good horse before that did not really have the jockey, and I have good help around me. I have a great board. My chairman, my board has done a really good job in terms of assisting me. Brian Storseth as well, in terms of where I've needed assistance. He's been there to really be there and be someone that can be a good sounding board. We've had many chats late at night, weekends, and things like that, and we would not have got here without those things as well. It's no different than a great quarterback has a great line that has to be able to block and do those things that allows you to see those passing lanes clearly. So I just want to acknowledge that as well before we move on. Yeah, I mean, you make a great point. The team around you makes you and makes you that much better. And we saw that with Mahomes. We saw that with Rodgers. I mean, they had they have a good line, but the Buccaneers' defensive line just destroyed their offensive line. So you can't. You need a solid quarterback, which is you, and then a solid team around, which is the rest of your team, and then. Yeah, man, it's great, good stuff. And you need the other pieces. You need to have some. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
I was going to say you need the other pieces. You need the cash in a company, which is something that I went off. We raised the cash. So the cash was not an issue as well, and also we've set the correct strategy as well. We've brought in a lot of the right people, and we're still looking to bring in additional hires as we continue to grow and expand. And I think the next few years are going to be really fun because I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So this is going to be.
Now, I actually wanted to ask you that, because you did say, hey, it's going to be a 12 to 18 month turnaround. Yeah. Like, after the 12 to 18 months, do you kind of have an exit strategy, or are you in this company for the longer term?
I plan on being at this company till the end, regardless of how that exits. Regardless if it's a much larger exchange or someone comes and buys us out or whatever that is. But I don't plan on going anywhere until that point. Where only time I see myself resigning from this company, and that's probably 5 years down the road at least, would be when I feel like got to a point where I can no longer help this company grow, or I'm a hindrance, or I think that it's in such great hands where it's almost running itself. Maybe I step into an executive chairman role, kind of what Jeff Bezos did at Amazon recently, and I can continue to help this company. I just may not be as involved in the day-to-day operations in that piece of it. But I'm doing dual roles in the company, and I have been doing that, and I think that's part of what's helped this company to be able to do that, because it allows me to have a little bit more control to be able to move faster as well by doing these things. Because this is the advantage of having someone who has a deep finance background, as of me having, the CEO title of the company as well, in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Very
and
cool.
it's,
Do you see any uplisting plans at the end of the year, perhaps, or 2022? Do you think that's realistic, or do you think it's a little further down the road?
Yeah, I think as the business continues to grow and we hit the certain milestones I have laid out, I mean, my goal, like I said, my goal for any company that I've been in is to be on the NASDAQ, or a big board. I mean, there's no better market to me than being able to go and ring the bell, on the stock exchange. I think that's a great accomplishment, and we've taken the steps to do that, uplisting to the OTCQB, and my goal is then to move up to the QX, and knock on wood, with continue to execute, that will take care of itself. Will eventually, I believe, get to the NASDAQ as well. And I'll look at all possible paths, whether it's just done organically, continuing to scale in other markets to drive the profitability, which subsequently should drive the stock price, or if I have to, I'll look at acquisitions as they become available as well. And there's lots of opportunities out there as well, which you guys all have seen the market. And in my background, a lot of times people hint at that. I do have a deep background in doing acquisitions, that kind of stuff. So I'm always looking. There's never, ever since I've walked in day one, my eyes are always open, and I would not be doing my job if I was not constantly looking to see what's out there. That's part of what my responsibility is as well.
Absolutely. Rich is the man with the plan.
Absolutely.
And we're just along for the ride. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Rich, why should investors invest in ParcelPal today? What is coming up that gets you excited? What advice do you have to investors?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's three things you look at when you're investing in something. At least when I look at it, and being an angel investor myself, I look at product, market, and team. So, is the company, do we have a good offering? Yes. What are we offering? We're offering, a great delivery service based on customer service, great prices that is flexible and works with all different sizes of companies. We have that one down. Is a market there? Yes. You guys all know last mile delivery has been a very growing area, so I don't have to go into that. Team. Have we gotten that? Yes. Now we've brought on the right pieces. I would argue a year ago we didn't have that, but now we have the team side in there as well as people who have been in the company that have done that. I want to say that I think I've shown in my 11 months with the company that I've been able to execute on things that I have laid out, and I want to, and I've proven that to the people. So the ones who did not get in before, kind of like saying, it's like penguins. They kind of say, well, I want to wait for the other one to jump before I get in, and that's how it is. And that's how people were when I came into the company. The stock price was at 6 cents, and people were like, "Well, I don't know about this guy. I want to wait and see." And it got to 10 cents and 12 cents, and the rest of the story. Now people are starting to say, "Okay, I don't want to miss out for, knock on wood, that next run." But like I said, again, I'm focused on continuing to just grow the business and do the things that I need to do, and I think that we're going to get there. But I think those are the reasons why people should invest in the company, and me as well.
Makes total sense.
And I appreciate the fact that you've been an investor as well. So I haven't had a chance to actually thank you yet as well. And I'm hoping that, I'm guessing that's why we're sitting here, because trust me, if you were not happy with how the stock's been performing, you probably wouldn't be asking me on the show.
Probably not. And I mean, again, I'm someone who looks at, who really looks at the fundamentals, just as much as everything else, right? So there's a lot that goes into my strategy, but obviously, like, getting into ParcelPal a week ago was like an absolute no-brainer to me, right?
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to get that out there, and I'm glad that we were able to connect, and you were able to really kind of share that with the audience today. So I thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on. I'm sure I'm speaking for everyone who's watching this. We appreciate it. And Rich, I mean, it'd be nice to perhaps have you again in the future.
Absolutely.
And until then, keep putting your head down, and we'll be there right there with you.
Absolutely. Appreciate the time. And one of the things I always tout is fundamentals over fraud, because there's a lot of that's out there, and you have to, and I've been an investor out there. I've invested in stocks as well, and I've been burned because you get in these things, and a lot of them are pump and dumps. But I assure you that this has been done the right way, and the people who are involved in our board would not be involved in the company with anything like that, nor I don't touch things like that myself. So I want everyone out there to know that this is a long run thing, and good luck to everyone out there. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to being able to buy you guys, a glass of wine or beer when I see you in person, and thank you. And hopefully we get through this here, all much healthier, and we get to the other side as well.
Absolutely. We'll have to meet up at your headquarters in Vancouver and
absolutely
go for a drink.
Absolutely.
All right. Awesome, Rich. So yeah, thanks again. Have a great day.
Appreciate the time. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You too. Take care.
Bye.